On Overdrive today, we drive the new Maruti Suzuki Fronx, check out the Ampere Primus electric scooter and get you a glimpse of the most powerful production AMG ever built. Hello and welcome to Overdrive. I am Sonita. The Maruti Suzuki Fronx is a crossover that is based on the Baleno, and what makes it very exciting for enthusiasts is that it houses a booster jet engine. Now this is the engine that used to be seen in the Baleno RS, and we decided to bring the Baleno RS in the Fronx review as well. Here's that story.
Got myself a pair of fancy new shoes. You see, this colorful inner booty slides into this chunky outer boot. It's an exoskeleton of sorts. Of course, this is not a hiking shoe. It just looks robust for an outdoorsy lifestyle. In fact, the car that I'm driving today, the Fronx, has a similar philosophy. The colorful chassis actually comes from the Baleno, but they have slapped on a rugged bodywork on it to make it look robust for an adventurous lifestyle. It's no SUV, it's an urban crossover. Let's take a closer look.
It's based on a hatchback after all, and that extra cladding gives it slightly broader dimensions. But it's got a higher ground clearance as well, which gives it a taller stance. The Fronx is to the Baleno what the WRV is to the Jazz, and sits below the Brezza to take on the Renault Kiger, Nissan Magnite and Citroën C3. Also the C3 Aircross, which is likely to come next year.
Slapping on some cladding onto a hatchback, common affair. We've seen it with the Cross Polo. Maruti has done something similar with the Celerio, but here, this one doesn't look like a simple Baleno Cross. They've actually put in a lot of effort. I really like how they've done the tail lights, the entire tail section. I think it looks really good. The side profile, well, because of the raised stance, it looks quite nice too. And then we come to the front end, which I believe is the best angle for the car. The Grand Mirror-inspired styling, the detailing, the headlights and the bumper, that upright grille, all of it gives this face a very imposing stance. Now imagine, the regular Baleno looks good, very handsome, but just slapping on a bodywork to it or cladding to it wouldn't have really made it look this imposing. So taking on the Kiger, taking on the upcoming C3 Aircross, that would have been a difficult affair. This one, I think, looks premium, it looks very handsome, and it will resonate with the target audience.
The cabin and its extensive features list are also carried over from the Baleno, but the Fronx edges ahead with wireless charging to complement the wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. Instead of the blue and black color scheme seen in the cabin of the hatch, the Fronx uses a combination of burgundy and black for its dash and upholstery, which makes them more enduring to dust in the long run. After all, the Fronx expects road trips to be an important part of its owner's lifestyle.
For a vehicle that's probably going to see more road tripping compared to its hatchback counterpart, I think they ought to have given a center armrest by now. And that, unfortunately, has been given the miss. If I have to continue nitpicking, you can see that there is no one sitting next to me. However, if I were to remove the seat belt for the center, it's already making that sound, which means that I have to have all the seat belts engaged, even if I don't have those many seats occupied, for that beeper to go away, which I don't know, maybe it's a flaw with this particular car, but that's something that we are going to check with Maruti. As for the seating, well, no difference there, nothing different than the Baleno. You continue to get excellent knee room. Vaibhav, who is our camera person, is more than 6 feet tall, and the seat is set to his preference, and that's the kind of knee room that I get. Foot space, again, no complaints there. Visibility outside the window, no complaints at all. Even the under thigh support is quite nice. So from a long distance road tripping perspective, the overall comfort is actually quite good, just the way it is in the Baleno.
With the higher ground clearance, the already high loading lip of the Baleno's boot moves even higher with the Fronx. But with the boot volume shallower than the Baleno, you won't be lifting large suitcases or cargo often unless you drop the 60-40 split seats. The higher ride height also makes ingress and egress marginally more convenient than the hatch.
But despite the raised ground clearance, you don't really get a very different view of the road than you would with the Baleno. It still feels very hatchback-like or very car-like to drive. It doesn't feel very SUV-ish in that sense. So while you do get a crossover styling on the outside, on the inside, it still feels like a regular hatchback. Good news is that the 1-liter booster jet engine from the Baleno RS now makes a comeback with the Fronx. Now, compared to the RS, where the engine was literally being imported from Japan without any tuning changes and plonked into the RS, This one is now localized. The tuning has been changed. The idea is to make it more drivable, easier to drive in the city conditions. So what they've done is given it better initial, given it better mid-range as well. So while the power and torque figures might still remain comparable to the Baleno RS, the tuning is quite different. So what you will notice is that the low-end performance is much stronger. They're claiming under 6 seconds 0 to 60 timings, and that's actually a very quick 0 to 60 time for a car of this order. And like I said when I reviewed the Baleno, the 1.2 litre dual jet engine, which is also available on the Fronx, it had started feeling a little underpowered. It had started feeling a little out of breath compared to the new age competition, which was now bringing in the turbo engines. So now with the Fronx, the turbo engine makes a comeback and the portfolio seems complete. I hope this engine also makes its way to the Baleno now, and the Baleno RS makes a comeback.
The new booster jet also gets the option of Suzuki's new 6-speed torque converter automatic, which seems to shift and respond far quicker than its application with the 1.5 litre petrol in the Ertiga or the XL6. It also comes with paddle shifters. Should you choose the proper manual instead, you will appreciate the lighter clutch pedal effort compared to the Baleno RS. The inclusion of Suzuki's smart hybrid or mild hybrid tech also makes it marginally more fuel efficient than the older RS.
Fuel economy still remains one of the primary focus points for both these engines, and in that department, the engines are comparable to the competition. They are also E20 compliant. When the Baleno came out, the engine was still not E20 compliant, but now both these engines, in fact all of the engines that Maruti has on offer right now, are all E20 compliant. We're already pretty impressed with the supple ride that the new Baleno offers, and now with the Fronx, it's actually gotten even better. Now on the face of it, they've actually made the suspension setup a little stiffer. However, they are using longer dampers. You're getting 19 millimeters of extra wheel travel as well. So the slightly stiffer damping is essentially to give it good handling dynamics, which the new Baleno also has, and at the same time give it a better ride quality overall compared to the Baleno, because then that's the reason why you're choosing this over a Baleno, right? So that additional ground clearance, that additional suspension travel actually makes a difference when you're driving on B roads, when you're driving on poor road conditions like the ones that I'm on right now. And still I'm able to have a decent conversation with you. So that should tell you that the suspension is actually tuned quite well.
We even had a chance to have some fun with the Fronx around a curated autocross circuit, slalom course and braking drills. Sure, even an Alto excels at stuff like this, and it's done it for years, but the Fronx will certainly be the safer car to do it in, especially given the dismal safety rating of the new Alto. Furthermore, the ability of the Fronx to do all of this without scratching its premium-looking paintwork reassures that it is slightly better equipped than a Baleno for tackling bad roads and enduring tougher or rougher terrain. So if you're looking for a lower priced alternative to the sub 4 meter crossovers like the Venue or the Brezza, but want something that feels more premium than a Kiger, Magnite or C3, the Fronx should make for a good choice.
Yes, amazing.
Well, if Maruti Suzuki is able to launch the Fronx between 7.5 to 11.5 lakh rupees, it will make things very interesting in this space, which is also occupied by the Renault Kiger, Citroën C3 as well as the Tata Punch. We'll be back after a very short break to tell you all about the Ampere Primus scooter. Stick around, you're watching Overdrive.